Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we'll be comparing a Wrangler with the 35 tire package to a Bronco with the 35 tire package to see who makes a better top-of-line off-roader. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Larch Miller Ford here in Draper and then the Larch Miller Dodge here in Sandy for giving me some time with both these vehicles. Link to both their websites in the description down below. Link to my car buying guide too. Let's get into it. Powering the Jeep is a 3.6 liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town, 23 on the highway, with power outputs being 285 horsepower and then 260 pound-feet of torque. Powering the Bronco is a turbo 2.7 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed. Fuel economy with this is 17 around town, 18 on the highway, with power outputs being 330 horsepower and then 415 pound-feet of torque. Before I move forward with this comparison, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the Jeep, it does have some pretty cool stuff. So you've got the steel bumper from the factory. We have a winch integrated from the factory as well. And I've always thought the Jeep's front end just looks really cool. Fake hood vents, but again, cool with the looks. So it's got that signature Wrangler appearance. And then the Bronco, I feel like it's more simplistic with the overall design. I mean, the grille especially. You've got recovery points, fog lights just like the Jeep, skid plate protection, no winch or anything from the factory. But something else to note, the Bronco, you can see the mirrors are mounted on the body, whereas the Jeep, they're mounted on the doors. Now, both of these rigs have 35-inch tall tires from the factory, and you can see they both have the beadlock rings, but suspension is significantly different. So Jeep still utilizes a solid front axle. It is coil sprung, whereas Ford utilizes independent front suspension, and this one actually has Fox shocks. Here's a side profile of the Wrangler. It also has rock rail protection from the factory. And then here's a side profile of the Bronco, and again, this one also has rock rail protection from the factory. Now the Bronco's got a swing gate and a window that pops up, and we'll just kind of compare the storage with both of them. But you can see with the four-door Bronco, it's pretty darn practical. And then popping over to the Jeep, same setup, and by the way, Jeep's the one who kind of created that whole swing gate setup. Anyways, yeah, there's less space in the Wrangler. It's a little bit narrower with the space, so that is a little bit of a downside with the Wrangler. Now the Bronco's got a full-size spare there on the back, and it has an upgraded bumper that can actually take a beating, just like the Jeep's upgraded rear bumper. If you don't know, the Bronco's used plastic for such a long time. Anyways, full-size spare with the Wrangler. Both of them have solid rear axles, and yeah, it looks so similar, but different too. Let's compare backseat spacing. So pretty decent here in the Bronco. Got a little storage net there. Window controls in the back. We got vents with the new Broncos. And then this has the leather seats, which make farting noises when you move on them, which is kind of funny. But yeah, nice trim. See the door panel there. And then you've got good headroom because of the boxy design. Now inside the Wrangler, I feel like my legs are pushed up a little bit more, but it's still comfortable. A little storage net. We got vents here in the back. Window controls, outlet, all of that. And then you've got these leather seats in the Jeep. These ones aren't real leather from my understanding. The Broncos are vinyl too anyways. Door panel. And all the trim in the Jeep, I will say, feels a little bit more premium to touch. Just kind of like the build quality in general feels better. And then we do have good headroom. And let's start up the Bronco. Boom. 932 is the payload capacity, by the way, 932 pounds. Full digital gauge cluster on the Bronco now. It's kind of a new addition. And you see we've got stuff like adaptive cruise control with the Bronco. Now, off-road tech's important. We've got a stabilizer bar disconnect, front and rear diff locks, trail turn assist, stability control that you can adjust. And then you can see we've got 360 camera with this. And then luxury features, we do have dual zone climate with heated seats, heated steering wheel, all of that. This does have an advanced four-wheel drive system, as well as an off-road cruise control and off-road drive modes. And then you've got your little window controls here, nice storage. Center console, and then 6 auxiliary switches, and then we do have top insulation as well. And let's start up the Wrangler. Bada bing, bada boom. So partially analog, partially digital gauge cluster. And yeah, like I said, the material used in here just feels a little bit more premium overall. Still have adaptive cruise control. This doesn't have a 360, it's got just a front rear camera, but you know, gets the job done. And then down below, you guys can see we've got dual zone climate, heated seats, heated steering wheel, just like the Bronco. Neither of them offer ventilated seats. Got a bunch of auxiliary switches, so 2 less than the Bronco. Now this does have Off-Road Plus, which is their off-road driving mode. It still has a sway bar disconnect, front and rear diff locks, and it's got an advanced four-wheel drive system just like the Bronco. And you've got this kind of full storage area. Got the grab handle there on the dash, and then top insulation with this one too. Now it comes to pricing, the Bronco stickers for about $71,000, the Jeep's about $73,000. Something to note, if the Jeep didn't have the winch, it would be about $71,000. So these are as comparable as it gets when it comes to pricing. And let's start up the Wrangler. I will say this Wrangler Bronco competition has made the Jeep Wrangler so much better. Factory integrated winch. We have power seats in a Jeep for the first time ever. And so, you know, they're doing stuff to make the Jeep more luxe. But speaking of luxe, you know, when you go back to back with both vehicles, the Jeep definitely feels like a much more premium product. Ford, it's just a Ford thing. Ford just never really feels all that premium with their stuff. They use a lot of cheap, plasticky feeling stuff throughout. And there's also little things like the Bronco has frameless windows. Some of you might like that. But when you open and close the door, it doesn't sound solid like the Wrangler does. Because the Wrangler does not have frameless windows. Now, Wranglers have such a unique drive. Obviously, both these are convertibles, so you just get more road noise in general, which is different from a lot of other modern vehicles. But not just the road noise. Another big thing is just the solid axles. It creates a very unique experience with the kind of like the body roll and all of that. It's cool. I like it. I appreciate it. Smooth torque. Now the V6 paired to the 8-speed, it's a smooth engine. It's not the most powerful. It can move these 35s. They do re-gear the Wranglers, so it can move the big tires, but you aren't going to be getting anywhere fast anytime soon. It's not a speed machine, that's for sure. Braking's pretty good, and that's one thing about the Wrangler I like is they're light. They are lightweight. The Jeep's a little bit of a smaller vehicle compared to the Bronco in terms of width and everything, and you feel it when you drive it. It feels like this smaller, more lightweight, tossable thing. Yeah, it's nice. And you know, for being a solid axle vehicle, it handles pretty well. It does kind of tip from side to side quite a bit. Not bad. Not bad at all. So, in summary, the Wrangler, well, drives like a Jeep. And so, we'll see if the Bronco drives like a Jeep, what it drives like, if it feels better, if it feels worse. Let's go pop in it. Bronco. So, the second you get into the Bronco, you instantly feel that this is, although, like I said, cheaper feeling with the materials and everything, more luxurious. A couple things. The steering is more direct. Independent front suspension, too. You feel that with the turning. And it's quieter in here. There's just a little bit more insulation in general. The seat doesn't go back as far as I like, and that's the thing with the Jeeps. You can't like put the driver's seat back, so you're kind of just right there at the steering wheel. But yeah, it's pretty comfy. Now the torque is a pretty substantial difference. Again, 260 pound-feet versus 415. It's a huge difference in torque. And that is one thing that I think that Jeep is missing out on. Yeah, they got the 4xe, nobody likes it. I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people don't like the 4xe. 392, everyone loves it, but nobody can afford it. So Jeep really does need a mid-range powertrain that, when I say mid-range, you know, more powerful than the Pentastar and the 2.0, but not as expensive as the 392. I think literally what they need to just do is, yeah, just something that has more power that's like a $2,000 option. That would be That would be the sweet spot. That's how you do it. Yeah, it is definitely more luxurious in here. It's a lot less noise in general. So it's just a different experience. And it feels bigger in here too. It feels a little bit more, and like I said, the Bronco is a bigger vehicle, so it makes sense. The cab at least, right? Bronco has slightly smaller fender flares compared to the Jeep. Jeep's got pretty big fender flares, all things considered. Especially the front ones. Yeah, the torque is so much better in this. And this shows something that Jeep needs to fix. So, which one do you choose? I mean, part of it depends on what you're using the vehicle for, right? If you're rock crawling, the Wrangler is objectively going to be a better rig for that. Solid axles always win. But daily driving, the Bronco's a little bit better of a daily driver. But like I said, it just doesn't feel like as much of an experience. Plus, the materials just feel cheaper. That's just kind of a Ford thing. Fords just always feel cheaper with the materials, the plastics and all of that. And you feel it the second you open up the door. It's very apparent. So, let me know which one you'd go for. And I guess the last thing I will say is I think Ford offers more value for the money. 360 camera, the Fox shocks. And that is something that I think that's a good place to close. Jeep needs to also, so it's not just engine, they need to offer better suspension from the factory. The base suspension is okay for rock crawling, any other type of off-roading, it sucks. And so they need to do something. That's just my take on that. But let me know your thoughts.